So many times I have beautiful experiences of connection. Doing puja, I'm doing arti, I'm reading some book, some very spiritual book. I have these beautiful moments, but then they're gone, they're over. Why does that happen? What do we need to stay connected all the time? Which is that love and that surrender, right? And that consciousness. So what happens is, when I connect, I'm experiencing the truth of who I am. Who you are is divine. And so when you touch it through puja, you touch it through arti, you touch it through reading something, you touch it through meditation. Yes, it's ecstatic, it's exquisite, we cry. Anko me aswata. Then the problem is our thinking mind comes in and it pulls us out of the experience, because the mind can only function in separation. The mind can only think about. So it's very good for making to-do lists. It's very good for balancing checkbooks. It's very good for solving math problems. But the minute our mind comes into our spiritual experience, we lose it. And so you're in the middle of this beautiful experience, and then suddenly the mind comes in. And it goes. And this is where we keep bringing the awareness back, because the truth of who you are is infinity. As we were saying in the arti, right? The flames of the fire rise higher toward the sun because the source of fire is the sun. Water comes down because the source of water is the earth, the ocean. Everything is always wanting to return to its true nature. The true nature of who we are is infinity, is love, is truth, is divine. And that's why expansion feels so good, because it's taking us back to our true nature. It's why being in love feels so good. It's why, if you think about the words that we always use to describe being in love, we use words of expansion, right? We talk about melting and merging and swimming, or we talk about fireworks. Nobody talks about being in a box of love. We talk about an ocean of love. I'm melting, I'm merging, I'm swimming, I'm bathing. Fireworks. All is expansion. Volcanoes. They're all descriptions of expansion, because that's who we are. And that's why it feels so beautiful. And so whether I'm experiencing love with another being, whether I'm experiencing love of God through that other being, whether I'm experiencing love of the divine through my prayers, through my meditation, through my puja, through my reading, in all of these cases, I'm touching the truth of who I am, which is extraordinary and beautiful and exquisite. And yes, I cry. And then the mind comes in. And maybe the mind comes in and says, oh, I'm going to be late for work. My boss is going to yell at me. I always get yelled at. It's not fair because I work so much harder than everybody else does, but my boss likes other people more. Not fair. And the thinking mind comes in. Or the thinking mind comes in and says, God, that's a nice shawl that person's wearing. I wish I had such a nice shawl. I don't have enough money to have such a nice shawl. Why is it that other people always have nicer things than I have? I've never had enough nice things. The thinking mind. Or maybe the thinking mind even just comes in and says, I'm having that experience that she was talking about in satsang. Oh, I wonder what to call this. In all of these cases, I've been pulled out of the experience into my thinking mind. And the minute that that happens, I fall into my patterns. Somebody says something I don't like, somebody does something I don't like, I'm full of jealousy, I'm full of anger. Why does this person act like this? Why does that person act like this? This isn't fair, that isn't fair. This isn't how I want it, that isn't how I want it. You cannot simultaneously be living in an experience of fullness and perfection and divinity and living in smallness and incompleteness and not enoughness. So if there's a thought that I'm having that says, I'm not rich enough, smart enough, good enough, young enough, beautiful enough, successful enough, I cannot simultaneously be experiencing the truth of who I am. I cannot experience that state of oneness with God, oneness with myself, and living in the illusion that I'm not enough. And so this is what pulls me out of it. And a lot of it, we live in a culture that is always telling you, you should be fairer skinned, you should be taller, you should be thinner, you should be richer, you should be more successful, you should be more popular, you should be funnier, you should be whatever it may be. But we're constantly being told you are not enough. You're not doing enough, you're not achieving enough. We're constantly being pitted against each other. And so our minds are constantly in a state of separation. Our minds are constantly in this state of, in order to be worthy of occupying my place on planet Earth, I have to achieve, do, be, become, win, earn. And none of that can coexist with spiritual awakening. Because the spiritual experience is an experience of who I am. Is not only enough, it's everything. It's fullness, it's completeness. It's love, it's truth. And sure, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't like to get, maybe a better job, maybe better scores on my math exam, maybe lose a little bit of weight, get in better shape. But that doesn't change my awareness of the perfection of myself, my capital S self that is one with the divine, my source. To know that I'm already fully expanded. I'm already infinite. I don't need to buy the world, eat the world, shop the world, own the world, reign over the world. I don't have to, whether it's power, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's possessions, whatever it may be that is my drug of choice to make myself feel fuller. I don't have to use it because I'm already full. All of that which we do to make ourselves feel fuller, better, the stuff we buy that we don't need but just to have it. All of the drinking, the drugs, the food, the indiscriminate sex, all of the ways that we run away from that internal sense of not enoughness, not whole enough, not good enough, not full enough. And so we think in this ignorance that if I could just buy more, own more, stuff myself more, numb myself more, have more friends, have more titles, have more power, then I would feel full, complete, enough. But of course it never works. And every bit of that pulls us away from the actual experience of just sitting in the present moment, knowing exactly who you are is exactly who you are supposed to be, and is exactly perfect and is exactly divine. And that experience of the fullness of the self. So as you find yourself losing it, just bring yourself back. Bring it back. Bring it back. You've got a wonderful blessing to already have that experience, even if it only lasts 15, 20 minutes. Because at least you know where you're going. At least you have had that experience of truth. So you know it. Use that as your North Pole, right? Such that wherever you are in the world, your compass is always pointing back to it. What do I need to do to get back to that experience? Because no amount of money, no amount of power, no number of possessions, no alcohol, drug, food, sex, anything takes the place of the experience of the unbroken fullness and completeness of the self. So keep coming back to it. Whatever you need to do that brings it on, bring it back. Just bring it back. Bring it back. And eventually you'll find it stays longer. And when you lose it, don't judge yourself. Because that's the other thing we do. We lose it and then the mind goes, oh God, you stupid thing, look, there you are judging again. There you are jealous again. There you are angry again. There you are trying to numb yourself again. And then we get into this state of berating ourselves. And that pushes us farther from the truth, farther from the experience. So the minute you find you've lost it, just bring it back. Just bring it back. Just bring it back. And that's the sadhana. That's the spiritual experience. And you'll find it. It'll happen. It's already happening.